You ever have that voice in your head, the one that's just relentless, and you have this nagging feeling that, it's not even your voice? Well, today we're going to get into a pretty powerful story about exactly that, where that inner critic comes from, and more importantly, how you can finally show it the door. Okay, let's just start with the destination, right? This single idea. I get to decide which voices live inside me. This is the whole goal of what we're talking about today. It's like a declaration of independence for your own mind. And we're about to dive into the story of how someone really had to fight to make this their truth. So, where does a story like this even begin? Well, this one starts with something you might recognize, what you could call an unspoken arrangement. It's a relationship that, on the surface, is all about admiration, but underneath, it's built on some really shaky ground. Okay, so picture this. The story kicks off with a manager who just seems to have it all figured out. She's brilliant. She's a hard worker. She's magnetic. It's so easy to look up to someone like that, right? But that admiration, it came with a hidden price tag. Without even realizing it, an unconscious deal was made. The author basically handed over her own authority, putting this manager on a pedestal she never asked to be on, and one she definitely didn't earn. But, pedestals, they have a way of cracking. And pretty soon, a pattern started to show itself that was just impossible to ignore. This wasn't just a case of having a tough boss. No, this was an entire environment where everyone was basically walking on eggshells. You had mood swings calling all the shots, ideas getting shot down with this surgical sarcasm, and the whole team's vibe was dictated by how one person felt that day. It was exhausting. And this is where the light bulb really went off. See, there's a huge difference between leadership and control. True leadership, it makes you feel safe. It empowers you. What was happening here? That wasn't leadership. It was control just dressed up to look like competence. And it demanded that everyone else constantly manage her emotions, which, of course, just created total instability. And here's the real cost, the part that really hurts. You might tell yourself you're just, being the bigger person, being professional, maybe even being empathetic. But the author came to this really tough realization. Every single time you bite your tongue and swallow your own needs to cater to someone else's emotional chaos, you're not just accommodating, you're literally abandoning yourself. Okay, so all of this is building up to a breaking point. Because, let's be real, there's only so much of that a person can take. Eventually, something's got to give. Your body, your mind, something inside you just decides, nope, we're done. And this is such a powerful question, isn't it? What was mine? If you've ever been in a situation like this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There's always that one moment, that one final straw that breaks the camel's back. So she's asking us to think about what that final moment might have been for her right before she tells us what she did.
There it is. Simple as that. She pushed back, and it wasn't some big, dramatic explosion. It was just clear, firm, no apology needed. She just drew a line in the sand, and that one single act, it shattered the whole dynamic.
But what came next was messy. It wasn't just about being mad at her manager. The really tough part was this deep, burning shame. A feeling of, how could I have let this go on for so long? It was a total sense of self-betrayal. So the pain was coming from two directions at once, outward at her and inward at herself. And this, right here, is where the story takes a really crucial turn. The fight on the outside might have been over, but a whole new battle, an internal one, was just getting started. This is the really haunting part. It's like the manager had packed her bags and moved right into the author's head. Her voice, her sarcastic tone, all her dismissive comments, they were just playing on a constant loop. It became this internal soundtrack of self-doubt that was just completely and utterly draining. So how in the world do you evict a tenant like that from your own mind? Well, the author's path to freedom had 3 clear steps, and it all kicked off with something that sounds simple but is actually incredibly powerful. She wrote a letter she never, ever planned to send. And this line from that letter, this is the absolute key. I'm sorry for needing you to be someone you were never going to be. Now get this, that apology isn't for the manager. It's for herself. It's not about letting the manager off the hook. Not at all. It's about releasing the crushing weight of her own hopes and expectations. It's about finally letting go. Let's just pause for a second and really define what we're talking about here, this internal critic. It's not just you being tough on yourself. So often, it's actually the ghost of some external harm, a voice from the outside that you've accidentally installed on the inside, and it just keeps doing the damage, long after the original person is gone. Okay, and this brings us to the final and honestly the most empowering part of this whole journey. This is the shift from just healing what's broken to actively, consciously choosing the kind of inner world you actually want to live in. This is the mental flip that changes the entire game. It's all about drawing really clear lines of ownership. Her bad behavior? That's hers. Her limitations? Also hers. Her total inability to handle a boundary? 100% hers. None of that is a reflection of your worth. And once you truly get that, you can decide to stop renting out space in your head, especially to a voice that does nothing but bring you down. But wait, the story is not quite over. The universe, it seems, had one last test. Years go by and guess what? That same former manager is now the CEO of the entire department. And just like that old, cold fear comes rushing back. What if she blocks my career? What if she just erases me? And this is the single question that just dissolved all that fear. It completely shifted her perspective. She asked herself, okay, wait a minute. Is she my source of abundance? Is this one person the gatekeeper of my entire future? Or is my source something way, way bigger than that? And the answer to that? It's completely liberating. No one person has that much power over you. They might be able to slam one door in your face, sure, but they absolutely cannot close off the entire horizon. There are always other doors, always other paths. So let's bring this right back to you. If any part of this story is hitting home, if you've ever found yourself shrinking to fit in, or you're hearing that critical voice that doesn't feel like your own, then I want you to hear this loud and clear. This is your permission slip. You are absolutely allowed to choose yourself. You are allowed to revoke their access pass to your mind, and you are allowed to just stop listening. And this might be the most important mindset shift of all. Choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's sovereign. It's about being the rightful ruler of your own inner world and leading with self-respect. And this last thought just wraps up the whole journey perfectly. It's about that incredible shift from being a side character in someone else's drama to grabbing the pen and becoming the author of your own story, the creator of your own piece. Which, of course, leaves us with one last crucial question. We've just walked through how one person took back their story. So now, who's holding the pen in your story? Who is the author of your inner world?